What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Formula America podcast. We're your hosts, Kurt and Dylan. And in honor of the upcoming U.S. Grand Prix, I figure it's time to talk about the U.S. Formula One team.
We have a
Haas.
Formula One team? Oh, yeah. That's
right. We kind of do. Even though it was painted with the Russian flag for a bit and half of its operations are based out of Europe, we do have a U.S. Formula One team.
Gene Haas is, Gene Haas.
Not allowed to leave the country.
Yeah,
but
that.
Which I think that is pretty damn gangster that Gene Haas can't leave the country because he's a felon. But anyways, we want to talk about them because they're in the news this week. Last Friday, it came out that they have a new technical partnership with Toyota, which is kind of pretty big for this team. The smallest team on the grid, and now they're partnering up with Toyota.
Yeah, they only have 300 employees compared to, I think, Mercedes has almost 3,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're, the pseudo-American, Russian, European, now Japanese team. So
it's like America. We're just a melting pot.
Just a melting pot. That's a great way of looking at it, Kurt. They are the melting pot of F1. I like that.
It's the most American thing they could do. And I don't know. I think it's awesome, especially like Toyota Gazoo. Like I come from the tuner world. So like the Gazoo name is something that I'm pretty familiar with. So hearing that and seeing that on the car, it's cool. But the first thing I heard when I thought about it was, first thing I thought when I heard about it was they already have kind of a technical partnership with Ferrari. So that was kind of strange.
Yeah.
But by all accounts, Ferrari's okay with it. Fred Vasseur, from what I heard, actually signed off on it and he's all right with it. So that's going to be pretty impressive to see what happens.
This is not a small partnership either. Like this is Toyota getting into F1, which I think it's super interesting. I feel like, as every sport, there's ebbs and flows to everything. You look back, Toyota's been in F1 before, Audi's been in F1 before, and a lot of these, Honda has been in it, out of it, in it again in a big way. Like we have a lot of these teams with crazy histories and crazy resumes outside of F1 really stepping back in, and like, Mercedes and Ferrari, these guys bring big pocketbooks, a lot of employees, a lot of technical and development. Like they're not small, and it's not small investments they're making. And this, reading through motorsports, detail of all that is going on with this partnership is like, this is Toyota coming into Formula One. Like,
yeah. As much as they say this isn't us coming back into F1, I think this is kind of planting the seed for them to, kind of bring their might, because they are like one of the more successful race teams across endurance championship, all kind of different championships. They've been doing it for a long time. So when they're coming in kind of swinging their weight around, that's pretty impressive, especially for a team like Haas. The prospects are looking up, I feel like, for Haas.
It is. And side note, but it's something I think about every time. It's always been funny to me, the rivalry between American and non-American, basically engine building, right? You have Ford and Chevy, and you look back at like Le Mans and stuff. We love to build 7-liter V8s and everything. But you look at all the Europeans and you really look at the Japanese, they're the kings of small displacement, large power engines. And it's kind of funny. You're like, oh, Ford's coming in. You're like, Ford's never built a 1.6 liter V6 that turns 1,000 horsepower. All right. That's the Honda Civic Special.
That's why I love like all the gifts going around now and the videos of the Haas next year. And it's got the 2JZ engine in it. And you just hear the turbo spooling and all.
I'd be totally cool with that. All right. I'd be so cool with that.
2JZ, no shit. That'd be awesome.
So let's get into it a little bit. For one, this has been stressed that this is not short term. This is long term, multi-year contract. This is Komatsu, the team principal of Haas, has said this is a long term gig. Toyota has said that. I don't think that this is by any means just Toyota putting a pinky in the water. I think they're jumping in.
Yeah. And one thing I was reading through, so they say that Toyota will assist with aerodynamic development as well as helping design and manufacture carbon fiber parts used by the team, which is interesting because when you look at Haas and the way they came in in 2016 and kind of like Gunther Steiner got them up and running pretty damn quickly.
Yeah.
Within 18 months, they went from basically an idea to an actual team, and they actually scored points on their first race. But by doing that, part of what they had to do is reach out and get help. So they reached out to Ferrari for an engine. They reached out to Dallara, who designs their chassis and things like that. So it doesn't say it in here, but I wonder if this means that they might actually get away from using.
They said it.
Kind of
the
off the
Motorsport
shelf
article says it.
Okay, so they're gonna Toyota could actually be designing their actual chassis coming up in the future.
Not could be, will be.
That's awesome. That's big because now they're not buying off the shelf parts and trying to put them together and make them fast. They could actually have something purpose built for them.
They specifically in this article called out that Ferrari and Dallara. They said they're talking about how they're going to start purchasing things. They said the mechanism isn't very different from what we do with Ferrari and Dallara, claimed Komatsu. For instance, if you buy a front wing from Dallara, there'll be a price. Then this is done with sponsorship. Let's say if we ask TGR to make our front wing, there'll be an exchange in terms of a purchase order. So we'll be paying for that front wing, but that will also come from sponsorship money. Whereas making a front wing at Dallara, Mr. Haas needs to pay. So the source of money is different, but the mechanism itself is very fundamentally the same. We will be able to buy whatever we want from TGR.
Yep. And TGR being Toyota Gazoo Racing.
Right. So I think it is in no uncertain terms that they are kind of breaking away from Ferrari and Dallara with this. This
really gets me excited for Haas. I've never felt excited or proud of this team as an American team.
No.
I don't know. The more I read and the more I hear about this, the future is so bright for Haas right now. This is awesome.
It'd be really fun to have a team such as Haas come to the forefront and be able to maybe win and stuff. It kind of reminds me of the Braun GP. It's the very much the underdog, which it's hard not to root for.
Yeah.
They are retaining the MoneyGram title sponsor, so it still will be the MoneyGram Haas team, but I don't know how they're going to MoneyGram Haas Moth.
If you can't see, for all the audio listeners, Dylan is now furiously swatting away a bug.
Anyway, excuse me. So I don't know if they're going to be like V-Carb, where it's got the longest name ever, where they're like the MoneyGram Haas Toyota Gazoo Racing F1 team, or what they're going to do. But they did straight up say MoneyGram is staying on. So
I was reading another article, and they were saying that right now it's a smaller technical partnership. They're going to have stickers on a few key spots on the car, but they're leaving it open to a potential main sponsor or title sponsor in the future. So they could very well become what you just said, the Haas Toyota Gazoo Racing team or something like that.
They've also straight up said that they can have a TPC program. They're going to be able to train up engineers and mechanics at Toyota. They're going to I know it's saying it's small, but they do seem to be gearing up for the real deal.
They even mentioned this would lead to a potential future driver academy.
Yes.
For Toyota F1 drivers. So, I mean, they could say this isn't us getting back into the sport fully, but the writing's on the wall, if you ask me.
And Japan's always churned out some awesome drivers. It could be a ton of fun. I would love, especially with Honda and Toyota in this, it's a recipe for that.
Yep. And what's pretty interesting is last year news came out that they were kind of courting McLaren, looking for something similar. And I guess, with McLaren, it's a bigger team that maybe they couldn't get the terms that they wanted. So just go to Haas, who clearly needs the money and can clearly benefit a lot from it. And so now they could just set that foundation and grow from there. The only thing I keep thinking about is it just keeps getting worse and worse for Nico Hülkenberg, man. The guy who's basically signed his life away at the beginning of the year because Haas wasn't doing that well. But now that team is just going up and up, and he's just locked into this contract with Sauber.
Crashed, burned, lit on fire again.
Nico's just sitting there in the ashes, just oh no.
And for all intents and purposes, we're going to come back to Toyota, but I was talking to you earlier. We got Wheatley going to Sauber. Audi is starting to bring a lot of awesome people over there. It's just how long is it going to take for them to be a contender? How many years of this abuse does Nico have in him to hopefully maybe get a podium in 4 or 5 years?
Yeah, because I don't expect them to do much next year. That's for sure. Then we got the regulation change coming after that.
Let's look at Toyota's past run in F1. How about that? because
Let's do it.
I've seen a couple of people say, yourself included this morning, we're like, man, I've heard Toyota didn't have the best, last run. I don't think they had that bad of a run. They're in F1 from 2002 to 2009, so 8 seasons. If you look at their best ever season finish as a constructor, they got 4th place in 2005, which, you're right outside the front pack. They never won a race, but they got 13 podiums. They got 3 fastest laps, 3 poles. The best position they've ever finished is 2nd place. Like, not bad. And they've had some pretty notable drivers. They've had Ralph Schumacher drive there. They've had, where are the drivers at? Kobayashi, speaking of Japanese, raced there. Ralph Schumacher raced there. Timo Glock raced there and scored a ton of points. They've had some halfway decent, I would definitely say they were a strong midfield team last time they were in.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that, perception of them crashing and burning or just being a failure last time came from the fact that they have such a storied history across all the other championships that they're in. So maybe the fact that they came in and spent so much money and just weren't immediately front running and basically taking over, I think that's probably why a lot of people are looking at that whole project as a failure. But I mean, yeah, when you're looking at the numbers, it seems like they didn't do that bad.
No, I wouldn't say so. I do agree. And Audi's kind of the same way. If you look at the World Endurance Championships, you look at a lot of the other racing. I mean, Audi, Toyota are top of the pile every year in those.
Yeah.
I'd love to see them bring it to F1.
Yeah, it's going to be just another part where they can battle it out, because now they're going to be battling endurance. They're going to be battling in, GT cars. They're going to be battling in Formula One cars. So it's just going to be pretty cool to see just all these worlds coming together now.
Yeah, in the pinnacle of motorsport.
Exactly. Yeah. And, speaking of kind of the performance, I was looking back at Haas, and they came in 2016, like I was saying earlier, they finished 8th in the championship their first 2 years, which for as small of a team as they were and as quickly as they were put together is pretty damn good. All the way up to they finished 5th in 2018, which is so things were looking up. But then that's when things got weird, because you remember the whole Rich Energy era of Haas?
Yes.
Which was, by all accounts, a complete scam of a company. And that guy was just a complete D-bag. And so they started going down then. And then you had
Ferrari
Romain
engine.
Grosjean, the Ferrari engine, which was underpowered. Then you had it
was overpowered. It was quite strong. And then there was this really weird behind the doors, sealed, closed deal. And all of a sudden it was very underpowered. So, I don't know what happened. But,
be like, nothing happened over here. Our engine just lost all of the power. But then 2021, the infamous Nikita Mazepin era, which
you can't not throw Schumacher in there too. Poor guy. I feel bad throwing the name in, but between the two of them,
I mean, let's be honest. Mick Schumacher wasn't lighting up the scoreboards by any means.
He was lighting up the Constructors' Championship.
He did, yes. He famously split the car in half in Monaco and
Checo did that.
Checo did do that. Checo's also a multi-race winner and still has his seat.
Yeah,
Mick Schumacher. Oh,
I've heard rumors that Sauber's looking at him.
They are. You know what's crazy about that? And we're going on tangents, but we love to do our tangents.
Yeah,
is that Valtteri Bottas is basically, remember he came out and he posted that thing driving the Audi, and he's like, it had the 77 on it, and he's telling everybody, he's like, just wait, like basically alluding that his contract is almost signed. And now all these other rumors start coming out, and now they're looking at Mick Schumacher apparently.
Well, then the rumor came out that he had signed, and Bottas released that statement being like, that's a bold-faced lie. I did not sign. I don't know who's doing this. And I was like, whoa, that was a real strong reaction for someone that just posted a video with driving an Audi. Like,
the sad part is you got Jogo on you over there. Like, please sign me. And
he's
not
the
even
Yuki
in the conversation
Tsunoda of Audi.
Yeah, right. It's like they don't want him. He might get a reserve driver spot for next year. Who knows?
Yeah. Speaking of Yuki Tsunoda, continuing down our tangents. So I was reading an article this morning. So Liam Lawson has never raced at any of the 6 tracks we're about to go to.
Oh,
he has done an FP1 at Bahrain and at Brazil. At Brazil. Otherwise, Austin, Brazil, Vegas, never gone around the track in a real car. And so he apparently did an interview with a New Zealand reporting company and was like, this is a big uphill battle. He's like, I have no experience at these tracks other than 2 FP1 practice sessions. He's like, I'm basically racing for my career against Yuki Tsunoda, who's been in for 2.5 years, has been in the car for 3/4 of the season and knows it better. And I got to compete with him. He was like, this is a lot.
And then Marco recently came out and released, basically was quoted as saying that now Yuki Tsunoda is very much in the hunt for that seat.
Because they got no one else. They fired everybody else.
I know behind the scenes, they're just, everybody's like, come on, Liam, please beat Yuki. Please beat Yuki. Yes. If Yuki beats Liam, Red Bull is going to be in, they're going to have to figure something out. Because for whatever reason, like we said, they don't want to put Yuki in that seat.
I don't know why.
I think they also want to get Checo out of that seat. So then what else do they do?
Yeah. I mean, I think you're going to, if they Danny Ricciardo Yuki, I know Yuki's got a lot of backing at Honda. Like, I don't think it'll be the end of Yuki's career, but it's going to continue to just drive that wedge into Red Bull of a failing team.
Yeah.
Internally. Like,
things
it's going
are
to
not
be ridiculous. I cannot wait for Danny's revenge tour. He needs to write a book. All that happened at Red Bull. You know how fast that thing would sell out? How hated Christian Horner would be? I'd buy one.
Hell yeah. He's like, you really want to know what happened?
I do want to know what happened, Danny.
Christian Horner?
I do.
Like, let me tell you, mate.
So yeah, I don't know. I think that's all the rumors I've got. I'm excited for bringing it all the way back around full circle, as we always do. I'm excited for this Haas Toyota marriage.
So am I. And what I'm excited about is I remember last year, actually early this year, when it was announced that Gunther Steiner was going to be fired. And they were bringing in this guy who we never heard of,
Komatsu.
Who was an inside hire. Yeah, Komatsu. I remember you and I and a lot of other people were kind of like, congratulations, you guys just got rid of the one endearing quality of this team. Gunther Steiner was the only reason a lot of people even liked Haas or considered Haas as a favorite team or whatever. But I think the more we look at this, the more I realize, like, Gunther, he was great at the beginning to start the team, but he's not a closer. Like, you got to see, like, it kind of fizzled out and he like plateaued, and bringing Komatsu in this year has been like really a lot of improvement for this team. So I think Komatsu is a closer.
And it's his first year.
Bringing him in was awesome. Yeah.
I mean, Fred Vassir's first year at Ferrari was like, oh, maybe Binotto wasn't the issue, but now we're like, okay, we're starting to see Fred Vassir's hand and everything. Okay, cool. Like, we're already seeing that with Komatsu, and we're not even through the first year. I think that's a great sign for Haas.
Yeah. And now, oh, man, I hate to say it, but you got Ocon coming to this team. He's in such a good position now. he just left Alpine.
So mad.
Alpine, by all accounts, is crashing and burning as well. And we're just like, oh, why are they going to bring him here? But now Ocon's probably sitting there just like salivating, like, yeah, I can't wait to get in that car.
He's like, I can't wait to beat up on poor Ollie Behrman. My next victim.
Oh, I feel good that Ollie's coming into the sport, and he's, by all accounts, might have a decent car. I just feel so bad that he's partnered with Ocon.
It's the worst. Is there anybody you would want less to be prepared with?
Lance Stroll.
I don't know.
Oh man, that really?
I despise Lance. I would pick Stroll over Ocon as a teammate because Lance Stroll's a bumbling idiot. Ocon is actively vindictive and an asshole.
True. That's true. Yeah, that's true.
I think that Lance Stroll is more incompetent than Ocon for sure, but he's not vindictive.
Yeah. Okay. I get that. I still would rather have Ocon than Stroll, but I definitely see that.
No, you can just do little things like cheer Stroll on from your car to play politics to make it look like you're really helping daddy's son, but really you're just showing how incompetent he is. That driver pairing's the best. I love Papa Alonso. Come on, Stroll. Come on.
Tell him I'm not going to pass.
Yeah. Oh, good. I was real worried about that.
All right. Well, I think that's kind of it for this one, unless you got anything else on this one, Dylan.
I mean, I'm sure I could find some more rumors for us to ramble on about, but we can wrap it up.
All right. Well, like we said, this is race week. Finally, we have the U.S. Grand Prix, the actual U.S. Grand Prix, one of the best tracks on the calendar. So we're going to be back in a couple days with our predictions for this, which I'm so excited for this race.
McLaren's really bringing a giant upgrade package too.
Red Bull apparently is too, but we'll see who can win. I'm so pumped. All right, guys, if you like this podcast, make sure to leave us a rating and review. If you're on Spotify, make sure you hit that follow button there. And other than that, I think
Instagram
that's it for
plug.
Dylan.
Got to give the Instagram plug, bro.
Instagram plug, Formula_America on Instagram. Check us out there. YouTube, if you're watching there, or if you're not, you could watch us on YouTube if you want to see Dylan try to swat away a fly. That was pretty interesting. Other than that, I think that's it, Dylan. You got anything
Kurt
else?
can leave the part in on our YouTube about our fading hairlines too, so you can actually see it.
Oh, Jesus. Well, mine's not.
We're going
fading,
to the Turkish Grand Prix next year for that, right?
I really wish they would bring that back. All right, we're getting out of control now.
And on that note, stay classy, America.
We'll see you next time. I really would love the Turkish Grand Prix to come back.
I would too.
Oh, before we start, I've unlocked a level of depression this morning because I noticed like some of my hair was like starting to look weird, and I started like going through it, and it's been masked because my hair is kind of long right now. The level of thinning that I'm experiencing right here, it's concerning at this point, and now I don't know what to do.
Bro,
Look, I know, all right, I get it, but this is new for me.